Hi, everybody. So I believe, sort of tagging onto the question that I asked in the previous session, I really believe in starting with my own positionality as a researcher, not only so you can get to know me a little bit before I go too deep into the research, but also because I know that my overlapping identities are shaping the research and the kinds of questions that I'm asking. So we're going to start today. I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, the context of the study, the methods, kind of the how of the study, and some early findings. So who am I? My name is Celeste Kirsh. I identify most strongly with being a teacher. I taught English and social studies for 11 years before leaving the middle school classroom for full-time PhD studies in the curriculum and pedagogy program at OISE. I'm a first-generation Canadian on my dad's side, and I have Scottish and Dutch heritage. I'm also a first-generation university student and the only child in my family to graduate from high school. I'm a white, queer, cisgender settler woman. I'm a mother, a podcaster. My podcast is called Teaching Tomorrow. Definitely go give that a listen. I'm a runner, I'm a content creator, and I'm a writer. So the context of this study. Today, nearly everybody who has a phone is able to share their thoughts with a massive audience with a click of a button. It's imperative to reimagine how we think about and engage with and teach writing in digital contexts. Digital multimodal composing could include texting, blogging, making videos, remixing content, or creating memes, and it's revolutionized writing by allowing users to create and share content with massive audiences. And yet, the writing that students do inside of school has not significantly changed in the last 20 years. Powerful literacy instruction should prepare students to communicate through the kinds of tools, both digital and analog, that we expect to eventually be encountered in the workforce. However, there are significant divides in digital literacy instruction that threaten to further widen achievement gaps caused by systemic oppression. So the theory of multiliteracies offers a lens to understand digital multimodal composing as a form of knowledge generation. No longer is there one definition of what's considered literate behavior, which widens the purview of what's understood as reading and writing. In order for writing instruction to meet the quickly evolving needs of society, educators must carefully consider the writing practices of students outside of school. This is not only important for student literacy development, there's also real ramifications outside of the classroom. For example, in one study, students in grade 6 were not able to tell real from fake news. Researchers described students' abilities to discern fact from fiction online as bleak. While this could be interpreted as students needing more help reading digital media, my study operates from a framework that sees reading and writing as a close and reciprocal process. Students 13 to 16 years old are more likely to get their news through multimodal social media platforms rather than news sites online. With these platform-based of engaging with the news, it is much harder to ascertain the credibility of sources. Scholars who are studying digital media literacy are understandably concerned about the fabric of democracy being weakened. So a lesser known theory in writing instruction offers a possible pathway forward. Chapman sees writing genres as situated, social, and active. A genre is not just a form of writing, it's a way of thinking and interacting within a community. So if writing genre is like a cognitive lens, how might the standards and best practices of one specific genre, journalism, offer useful pedagogical insights to address the complex and interconnected challenges related to digital multimodal composing? Journalists are trained to operate with standards and ethics, investigate fact from fiction, and carefully consider sources of information. Journalistic learning, when journalism is used as a pedagogical tool, integrates digital citizenship, media literacy, multimodal composing, and creativity in an authentic way. Calls for more interdisciplinary efforts to strengthen information literacy are happening within the scholarly community. So journalistic learning offers new possibilities to redefine digital writing instruction. Knowing that teacher comfort is a key determinant in whether they include digital technology in their pedagogy, and that teachers feel underprepared to teach writing, the impact of hands-on practical experience with digital multimodal composing through one specific writing genre is worth exploring. So the objective of my study is to explore the question, what happens when journalistic learning is used as a means for teachers developing comfort and confidence with digital multimodal composing? I designed a qualitative study that draws on critical practitioner inquiry. The site of this research was a Master of Teaching class for teacher candidates wishing to be certified to teach English in grades 7 through 12. I taught this course and so stepped into the stance of a teacher researcher, which has its complications and notable benefits. At the onset of the course, students began by documenting their beliefs and mindsets about literacy, writing, and digital composing. Near the end of the 24 class sessions, teacher candidates interviewed a young person about their literacy practices, both inside and outside of school. We then took this raw interview data and turned it into a digital multimodal text that was inspired by journalistic storytelling. At the end of these design sessions, students completed another reflection to capture their beliefs and mindsets about digital multimodal composing. The next stage of this research will involve me interviewing teacher candidates one-on-one about their experiences, and then following up with these participants 1 year from now, once the second year students in the class have graduated and been teaching in classrooms. So now we get to the good part. I have to stress that these are very early findings and that I'm distilling the in-class reflections that teacher candidates completed in class after they created their journalistically inspired digital multimodal piece. So I'm looking at a very small subset of data to come up with these early findings. But there are 4 themes that are starting to emerge from this data set. The obstacle is the thing, the medium is the message, student-centered pedagogy, and socially situated learning. I'm going to tap into each of these with the voice of the teacher candidates. All of the names that I include are, of course, pseudonyms. So finding 1, the obstacle is the thing. I'm going to use Alex's words for this. The first was technical. While I'm quite comfortable with technology and different types of software, creating a graphically focused product such as this required a fair bit of tinkering to get it just right. With regards to what was rewarding, I found the process of graphic design and production to be fairly enjoyable. Working with images and creating something that's striking to look at always feels satisfying in the end, perhaps more so than with text alone. The tinkering, the finicky nature of getting it just so came up a number of times in teacher candidate reflections. This was noted as something that was annoying, like deeply annoying, but also a source for the greatest rewards. Because it was challenging, it made way for breakthroughs and a source of pride in the work that was eventually created. One student, Viola, even noted that she loved her TikTok video so much, she kept watching it again and again and again. Okay, so finding number 2, the medium is the message. There's been a belief amongst teachers that's been noted in the research that digital composing is not real writing. So when June named the importance of embracing the medium as the message and directly referenced Canada's own mid-century media theorist, Marshall McLuhan, it seemed clear to me that something important was crystallizing. Here's how June said it. It was hard choosing which graphics and compositions to use, as the multimodal format lends itself really well to the idea that literacy can be taught and learned outside of school regulated books, especially those in the canon. This was also the rewarding aspect of my digital text, as the subject directly related to the medium. The medium is the message, Marshall McLuhan. I also did not want the main portion of the digital media to contain too many words. I also wanted to highlight how Walter said it, because he's getting at how the very thing that could make educators question the validity of using digital text in their pedagogy, something that's short, bite-sized, attention-grabbing, aids with awareness of the topic being discussed in the digital text. Here's Walter. It was encouraging to see, particularly when we viewed project samples in class today, how especially powerful a truthful journalistic message can be when it takes multimodal form. Combinations of words, sounds, and images can better capture viewers' attention than text alone, helping to highlight the seriousness of the societal concern being addressed. In order for an audience to latch onto a message, it needs to be engaged with. To ignore digital multimodal composing seems to be ignoring the importance of knowing your audience when you're crafting a message, which takes me to the third finding, student-centered pedagogy. This idea came up again and again. The step before digital composing, as I mentioned before, involved teacher candidates interviewing a student in grades 7 to 12 about their literacy experiences. And even this task alone shifted how teacher candidates understood literacy and what young people are up to as readers and writers. I'm going to draw on the words of Celine to explain this stance. She said, "This inquiry really showed me a picture of a young person where there feels like such a large divide exists between what young people value and what educators value and teach. So solidifying my beliefs around authentically integrating and using young people's values to then inform what we teach." I think this is huge as a researcher. Celine is a young person herself. She's in her 20s and just on the cusp of stepping into her practice as a teacher. When she wrote this, she had just finished her third practicum, just about to start her career in the classroom, and to embody this inquiry stance or deep curiosity towards her students has the power to shape her profoundly as an educator. Thinking about how Celine might close that divide between what teachers value and what young people value in literacy learning just gives me tremendous hope. Finding 4 is socially situated learning. So normally, digital multimodal composing exists in what Dana Boyd has coined a networked public. But for this learning experience, we were working with second-degree participants, or the young people that were interviewed by teacher candidates. Since these young people didn't consent to having their interview findings broadcast out to a larger public audience, the findings in digital text were only shared within our classroom. And yet still, the power of the social aspect of this experience surfaced in the data. Martin said it well in his reflection when he wrote, "Getting to see the reaction of my parents and classmates to my interview and knowing that my work had an impact on them was also a highly rewarding element of my experience with digital multimodal composing." And then also Viola, the teacher who enjoyed watching her video on a loop, said, "This is a way that the message can be sent out to a wide audience and spread awareness." Young people are social. They want to be putting ideas in conversation with each other. They want to share with each other. And seeing how these teacher candidates also benefited from this highlights how essential this is for both teacher and student learning. So this is, of course, only the beginning. So I welcome your questions, comments, and connections to help me make sense of this data and move me further into the research. I'll pause there.